Welcome to the ITSM Practice podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the ITSM Practice podcast. I'm Luigi Ferri, and today I want to talk about risk appetite and risk tolerance, answering the question, what is the difference? Let's start by defining their terms. Risk appetite. According to the Institute of Risk Management, risk appetite can be explained as the amount and type of risk an organization is prepared to take to achieve its strategic goals. Different organizations have varying levels of risk appetite, influenced by their industry, culture, and goals. There is a spectrum of appetites for various risks, which can evolve over time. Risk tolerance. As defined by the US National Institute of Standards and Technology, risk tolerance is the level of risk an entity is willing to accept to pursue a potential desired outcome. In simple terms, risk appetite is about how open an organization is to taking risks. Risk tolerance, on the other hand, is about how much risk a company can handle while pursuing the risks it decides to take. For instance, there is often a confusion between risk appetite and risk tolerance, with these terms mistakenly used as if they mean the same thing. This mix-up can affect organizations' risk management framework. When correctly understood and applied, these terms are quite different and play crucial roles in the delicate balance between taking risk and managing risk to fulfill corporate strategy and objectives. What are the differences between levels of risk tolerance and appetite? Risk tolerance and appetite are determined based on specific levels. Let's break this down into simple terms. Risk tolerance levels. First, aggressive risk tolerance. Companies with an aggressive approach to risk tolerance can handle the ups and downs of risk-taking. They are like the sprinters aiming for the goal, willing to push through the tough races because they are eyeing the big prize at the finish line. They know they might stumble, but believe the reward and at the end is worth it. They are okay with the idea that their investments might dip in the short term if it means winning big in the long run. Second, moderate risk tolerance. Think of these companies as the steady long-distance runners. They keep a consistent pace, carefully managing their energy. They aim for a balance, not sprinting too fast to avoid burnout, but not so slow that they miss out on good opportunities. They set clear limits on how much risk they are willing to take, aiming for a solid performance that brings reliable results. Third, conservative risk tolerance. These companies are like the cautious walkers. They are in the race but focus more on not getting hurt than on winning big. Their main goal is to minimize any falls or injuries. This means they are usually see smaller returns on their investments, but they are okay with that because their primary aim is to stay safe. Now, let's talk about risk appetite levels. First, high risk appetite. Companies with a high risk appetite are the adventurers. They are willing to climb the highest mountains or dive into the deepest seas, seeking the greatest treasures. Their aggressive risk tolerance means they are prepared to face significant challenges in pursuit of high rewards. Second, moderate or neutral risk appetite. These organizations are the calculated risk takers. They are like the hikers who carefully plan their routes. They know the trails they are willing to take and have mapped them out to ensure they are challenging yet manageable. They aim for a balance between the thrill of adventure and the safety of knowing their limits. Third, low risk appetite. Similar to those with conservative risk tolerance, these companies prefer to stay in the safe zone. They are like the people who enjoy leisurely walks in the park. They avoid paths that could lead to unexpected steps, drops, and prefer routes with scenic, steady paths that offer smaller, consistent rewards. What are the influencing factors and drivers for risk? The levels of risk tolerance and appetite are shaped by various factors, much like how a runner's performance can be influenced by their training, the weather, or the terrain. These factors depend on the specific situation or context and can include the organization's goals, the industry dynamics, market conditions, and even cultural influences. Understanding these can help an organization better navigate the balance between taking and managing risks. What are the differences between risk appetite and risk tolerance statements? Imagine we are talking about how a hospital approaches its challenges and opportunities. Let's start with the risk appetite example. Keeping our patients safe is our number one goal, but we also understand that we have to find the right balance between quickly responding to every patient's needs and the cost involved in doing so. Here, what we are saying. Our strategy focuses on being very careful about anything that could harm our patients. At the same time, we are more open when it comes to ensuring we respond to patient care and customer service, even if it means taking on some risks related to costs. And now, the risk tolerance example. We aim to see every patient within 5 minutes of their appointment time and emergency walk-ins within 15 minutes. But we know that in some rare cases, patients who don't have life-threatening issues might wait up to 4 hours. This means we have set clear, measurable goals for how quickly we treat patients. Yet, we acknowledge and accept that there is a small margin where things won't go as planned for no critical cases. It's our practical approach to managing day-to-day operations within certain risk limits. How can we break down the differences? Risk appetite difference. This is about the big picture, the overall approach. It's strategic, looking at the whole organization and making qualitative judgments about what kinds of risks we are okay with. Risk tolerance difference. This gets into the nitty-gritty details. It's tactical, focusing on specific actions or operations. Here, we talk about risks in numbers and specific outcomes. We are looking at how much deviation we can handle from our ideal scenarios in precise, measurable ways. In summary, While risk appetite sets the stage by defining the broad types of risks we are willing to entertain based on our values and strategic goals, risk tolerance outlines the exact boundaries of those risks, often with numbers and specific scenarios, guiding our day-to-day decisions and actions. What factors influence organizations to be more or less willing to make risks? Your industry. Different fields have different norms around risks. For instance, the IT sector often embraces risk due to its fast pace and constant innovation. In contrast, energy or utilities, being critical infrastructure, usually play it safe to maintain stability. Your financial situation. If your company is on solid financial ground with good revenues and low debt, you are likely to be more open to taking risks. It's like having a safety net. You feel more secure in making bold moves. Past experience. A company that's been burned by risks in the past may naturally become more cautious, lowering its risk tolerance. On the flip side, if you have navigated risk waters successfully before, you might be more confident about taking on new challenges. Regulatory compliance. The more rules and regulation your company has to follow, the less room you have to take risks, especially those that could lead to legal trouble or fines. Preparedness for cybersecurity threats. How ready you are to face cyber threats also playing a big part. The better your defense, the more risk you might be willing to take on since you feel more protected. Operational capacity. If your operations are solid and you can handle things like system downtimes or data breach effectively, you might be more open to taking operational risks. What factors influence risk appetite? Rapid innovation. In industries where technology and tools are constantly changing, a company needs to be willing to take more risks to stay ahead. Being open to new ways of doing things can make or break your success. Market opportunities. When new markets open up, the potential rewards can make the risk seem worth it. Companies may be more eager to take bigger risks to capture a larger share of a pie. Company culture and leadership. The attitude toward risks starts at the top. Leaders who are focused on growth might push for a more aggressive approach to taking risks, while more conservative leaders might steer the company towards safety. Strategic objectives and goals. What the company aims to achieve can significantly impact its willingness to take risks. Ambitious goals like dominating a market or being an innovation leader might require a bolder approach. Stakeholder expectations. Stakeholders interested in cutting-edge areas like blockchain or AI might drive the company to take more risks in these fields, aiming for groundbreaking results. In essence, both risk tolerance and appetite are shaped by a mix of internal and external factors. Understanding these can help a company navigate its way through decisions about what risks to take and how to manage them effectively. Why is managing risk crucial to the success of any organization? And what do we need to clarify to do it effectively? Risk appetite. This is all about how much risk you are up for taking. It's like deciding how spicy you want your dinner to be. Some can handle the heat, while others prefer it mild. Risk tolerance. This is about how much you can handle when things don't go as planned. It's like when you plan an outdoor picnic, but have a backup plan in case it rains. There is a chance things might not be perfect, and you are okay with a little bit of variation. When we are clear on these 2 points, we can weave risk management into everything we do, making sure it grows and adapts as things change around us. Understanding the difference between risk appetite and tolerance is not just useful, it's critical for making smart decisions and thriving. What are some provocative questions to conclude our episode? If risk appetite and tolerance are so crucial, why do so many organizations struggle to define them clearly? Is it because the concepts are too abstract, or is there a lack of willingness to confront the potential realities they represent? Can an organization's risk tolerance be too high to the point where it's reckless? Where do we draw the line between being boldly innovative and dangerously overconfident? How does the evolving nature of risk, especially with rapid technological advancements, challenge traditional risk management approach? Are current strategies flexible enough to adapt to the new types of threats that weren't on the radar a decade ago? These questions push us to think deeper about how we approach risk in our organizations, ensuring that we are not just going through the motions, but actively engaging with what it means to manage risk in a rapidly changing world. I invite you to connect with me on LinkedIn for further discussions. Thank you for joining me, Luigi Ferri, on the ITSM Practice podcast. Until next time, arrivederci.